if we try that. How's everybody doing? How y'all doing? Hope you're doing wonderful. 1 second, I'll move the light in a second. Once I have a better overhead light. There we go. Yeah, this is I just got done doing my morning workout, so apologies if I appear sweaty because I am a bit I am a bit am. But yep, I got a couple hours before work, so just gonna work on my Gunpla here and chat with you lovely folks, hopefully. So let me just try and get this as out of frame as I can. There we go. Over there. Oh. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're all doing wonderful. I'm doing pretty good, if I do say so myself. So, yeah, I'm doing my best to make progress on this. I don't know, like for this Gundam, I have been taking a lot of extra time. I must admit, I'm being very slow. I'm being very particular. So, but I've been enjoying the process, like I said. Whew. Yeah, I know I normally do when I do like painting streams and stuff, I have like my overhead camera view and stuff, but I haven't got a setup over here for that, and I think I'd need a laptop to live stream like that. I do have my DSLR. I don't know if I can get that in frame here. I have my DSLR here, but like I said, that's mostly been just for actually filming the painting itself. And I'm thinking about doing 2 videos, because obviously I got the documentary one I've been working on, and I want to continue working on. But I think separately, I'll use some of the same footage to make just like a dedicated like painting video. So that's one thing I'm considering, but I don't know if like maybe I should just make it all one, just leave it as one thing or not. But I don't know. I'll let you guys be the deciders on that front. Let me see if there's any comments section. Yeah, I'm not used to doing mobile. If anyone's watching, make a chat real quick. I want to see if it like pops up for me. I believe it should, but yeah, something as simple as hello. There we go. Hey, Sobek, how you doing, my man? We're doing good. Yeah. If there's a way I could prop... The other thing I'm trying to consider is there's a way I could prop the camera to look a bit more down on the table here, but... Considerations. Well, if I could, I'd angle it like that, but I have no way to hold it up. So what should I build? I'm working on my Gundam Calibarn. It's from the Witch from Mercury series. I haven't seen this series, so I picked this Gundam because I was just looking around on Amazon for Gunpla kits to kind of start out with, and I was looking for one that looked fairly simple, and I found this one. I didn't know which series it was from. I wasn't like being too particular with it. Now that I finished Gundam the Origin and Mobile Suit Gundam, I think I definitely have a set I want to pick up in the future. I ordered 2 master grades as well, which still haven't arrived. And I ordered those almost 3 weeks ago. I'm trying to be patient, but I really want them. I want to get started on them. Big projects and all that. But yeah, I have it in all sub-assembly, as you can see here. So I've just been working on it slowly but surely. It's been a fun painting process. A lot of people warned me, it's like, hey, you should probably try and like paint it with an airbrush. That seems to be like the traditional thing or the common thing to do. But I decided to, instead of go out of my comfort zone for the first one, I was going to see what I can do in my comfort zone, which is hand painting. And I'm going to, I primed it. I'm going to put a matte varnish over it when I'm done. And hopefully that'll make it so the model will last for a good long while. The one thing I am worried about is the articulation and how that's going to scrape against the paint, how much of that's going to cause things to chip. But fingers crossed, it's only going to be the unseeable internal like parts that'll get scraped up by that over time, and it won't actually be like the model as a whole or figure. That's the other thing I'm struggling with is terminology. I'm so used to like 40K models where it's like, oh, it's very clearly, this is a mini figure model, stuff like that. Use lacquer so it won't chip. Lacquer. I'll look into that. I did look into Vallejo's. They have like a mecha brand for paintings and stuff. I have like their normal game color stuff, like that. But I know they have like a specific sub brand for mecha paints for Gunpla. And I looked it up, and a set of them, including air paints, to be fair, was $259, and I couldn't find it elsewhere. It was just on Amazon. Holy crap! I was shocked by that price tag. $259 for Vallejo's Mecha brand. Mr. Hobby and Tamiya are the ones you use. Okay, I'll look into Mr. Hobby. I think I've seen that. I'm assuming Mr. Color is like a sub part of that brand, or is that not the same thing? Oh, I'm out of my Corvus Black. Oh. Put it on my wet palette there, because I'm going to need plenty of Corvus Black. Yeah. So how you doing today anyway, Acerbic? Been having a good day? I hope, of course. Put a bit more in front of me, that way some of the light comes more you guys' way. Yeah, I tried Vallejo Game Color and it made a mess. Oh, does Game Color not work? Because that's what I'm using. Well, hopefully it lasts. Hopefully I have better luck with it than you did. Like I said, I'm going to put a varnish on it. I don't know how much of a difference varnish will actually do for a Gunpla. Again, this being my first experimental trial with all this, it'll be a process. It'll be a paycheck or two before I can afford like another paint set on top of what I already have. So, trying to work with what I do have. Fine day, I'm building the Master Grade Justice. Ooh, nice. Yeah, next up after this Gundam Calibarn is, I have two Zakus I have here that are both high grades. I'm going to work on those next. One of them I'm going to just assemble full scale without painting and see how it looks. And then from there, I'll disassemble it if I come up with like a good painting scheme. The other one, I'm planning on painting with like a camo color. So that's my my current plan. Hopefully. Hey, Horace Brittle, how you doing? You guys going? Cool beard. Thank you. I work very hard on it. Oh, I think my girlfriend likes it, but I can't tell yet. I will say this: I do really like my girlfriend. She's going through some stuff, but one thing that is like I'm struggling with is she's hard to read. Now, granted, I have a hard time reading people normally, but I don't know. My girl, I have fallen head over heels for her, but I will say one of the things I'm struggling with right now is I'm trying to read her and be able to tell how she's feeling, and I'm struggling with that, to be perfectly honest. She's a very reserved person, so it's my biggest fear is like I might say something that will bother her, and she won't tell me. She'll just internalize it, and I don't want her to do that. I want her to be like, "Hey, babe, I don't find that funny," or I don't. I'm learning the boundaries right now, so just hoping she's willing to be vocal with me, because I do need a vocal partner. I need someone who will say, "Hey, this is how I feel. This is how I'm thinking about this." It's like, okay. Hey, I'm not good at doing the reading under the skin thing. Hey, Arsha, welcome to stream. Hi, people. How you doing, Mr. Bones? Welcome to you both. They're streaming Gamses. Oh, Gams is streaming? What's he doing? Doing anything fun with him? I'm assuming he's reacted to some stuff. I know he's been doing a lot of reaction streams lately. Hey, Empress. How you doing? Female Custodies Bonanza today. On your topic, you can always count on me for help in the personal relationships. Right? Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, in a woman's perspective, I certainly would help. Yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to go on a date to our local fair coming up here, so hopefully that'll be a good day to like iron some stuff out while we walk around, we chat, hopefully. I'm just trying my best to help her out, but I'm also trying to. I don't want to make her feel like I'm crowding her or like I'm being too forward or too strong. So it's finding the balance. Finding the balance. A very experienced one at that. Good. Fair enough. He's doing fem studies as well. May he enjoy. I was surprised how normally it takes like a good 2 hours before I get like the defense the I won't call them the Wokehammer crowd because to be fair, not all of them I think are Wokehammer. I think a lot of them are just people coping and trying to like deal with that. Are you 23 now? I am almost 25 actually. My birthday's this month. I'm not gonna do a birthday stream though. I've done that the last couple years and it just feels awkward. I think it just feels awkward. So, but yeah, this month I'm turning 25. As my Discord community keeps saying, I'm a youngin. I'm a wee lad. Okay, I think that's all the bits there. Boom. Okay, I think I'm good on the base coat with the chest piece. Actually, I think that'll be covered up by other parts, so I'm not gonna worry about that. I do need to do panel lining though. One recipe I'm doing for panel lining is I'm using Citadel's Black Templar contrast, and I'm gonna thin it down with a little bit of water, and I'm gonna see how that does for like recess shirting. Old-fashioned dry pellet for that process. Hello, Soul. Welcome to the stream. Oh, you're gonna be 20. You're gonna be 22 in December. Nice. Remind me in December. Hopefully, I do a live stream around that time, and I can wish you a happy birthday. It's a little early for even an early happy birthday wish, so I'll hold off for now. But cool. What Gundam are you building? Or I just built the Moken Gundam not too long ago. Ooh. Moon Gundam. Oh, okay. Okay, phone type. That's fair. I'm working on the Gundam Calibarn from the Witch from Mercury series. I haven't seen that series. My very first Gundam that I'm working on is I'm just getting into Gunpla in the Gundam hobby, and for my very first one, I wanted to look for something simple, air quotes, to paint and to put together and to kind of get a feel for how the flow goes. So I went from the Gundam Calibarn. So I'm trying this one out. I don't know how good the series is. I can't comment on that. I don't know how cool this is on animation. But the next ones I'm working on, I have two Zakus. Just a regular Zaku 2 and a Zaku 2 FZ. I think I'm going to put together the Zaku 2 without painting it, just to see how I feel about how it is in raw plastic. And then for the Zaku 2 FZ, I'm going to paint that one in a camo. That's the plan with those. You can build the model without the armor just so you can plan the detailing. That's actually my one thing I have learned the hard way. I wish I had gotten that advice before I started. I have learned that the hard way. I'm so used to Warhammer's sub-assembly process that, I had that mentality when I started. It's like, okay, I'm going to assemble it in these sub-assemblies and paint it like that, and it'll be fine. And in hindsight, I should have just had all the armor plating bits off, put together the skeleton as best I can without the bits, and then painted the armor and like primed it and left the internal parts completely fine. And that probably would have been a much better way to do it, and also would have caused the whole thing to last a lot longer. The way I'm doing it now, either I'm going to put the matte varnish on, and it's going to cause the whole model to fail to articulate because now that protective layer is coated in everything, or it will still articulate, but because of that scraping of the articulation of the whole model will cause that varnish to peel and to chip off, and then that'll in turn result in the paint chipping off as well. I'm hoping that that won't be the case, but I'm experimenting. I'm learning the process while still trying not to abandon everything I have and have learned with Warhammer. Trying to you know get the basics down. The Iron Blood series, I've heard that recommended a couple times. You and your friends stream Gundam Breakers 4. I've been streaming that lately too. It's actually a really fun game. I was surprised. I still, you know, in terms of mech games, like the top tier for me is still got to be AC6, Armored Core 6. But Gundam Breakers 4 has been quite fun. I put our gunplay on a game and save the painting issues too. Oh, okay, yeah. See, and that was actually mentioned on stream when I was playing Gundam Breakers the other day. Is someone said, "Hey, this would be a good way to preview your paint schemes." I'm just thinning down my wash here with water. I don't know if that was enough water. Probably not. No, you need a bit more. Okay, that's much better. And steal your girlfriend's makeup brush for shading. Tempting. Very tempting. I am hoping that the fair this weekend will be a good time for us to chat and hang out. Today I work I met her through work, so when I go to work today I'll see her. Thing is she's been going through some stuff, and I've tried doing what I normally do when someone I care for is struggling. And I try and like offer hugs. I try and be like offer words of advice. I try and jump in to help. I get the vibe that I'm annoying her by doing that. I don't know if I'm misreading and she is appreciating it. She's just not sure how to take it. But I think today I'm just gonna try and give her space a bit more. I'm not gonna avoid her, right? If she comes up and talks to me, I'll talk to her, of course. But I think I'm gonna let her have her space today and try and not be, because I have been the last few days, admittedly. Federation or Xeon? Xeon all the way. Xeon, like, yes, they're space Nazis. Yes, they're terrible. But fucking A, they got the drip. I'm not gonna lie. The uniforms for Xeon, I didn't like the basic grunt uniform at first, but quite frankly, it's grown on me. And additionally, like the officer outfits, sexy, very sexy. Plus Zaku's. I mean, come on, Zaku's are just the best mech. The best mech. Maybe it's the last one. It could very well be. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where I'm having difficulty reading the room, and hopefully I get better at that. Do I want to use this brush or a thinner brush? I'm going to use a thinner brush to try and do the recess shading. I was about to use this one, but this is more my base coating brush. Yeah. No. Alright, so this is where we get to the really delicate stuff. Yeah, that was rough. Okay. Games say that the Fem Studio is mewing for 10,000 years. Guarding Big E probably needs some hobby while standing still. Wait, did I misread that? Oh. Gamza said that the Fem Studio is mewing for 10,000 years. Guarding Big E probably needs some hobby while standing still. Mewing. What does he mean by mewing? Crap, I'm definitely going to have to repaint part of that. Yeah, this is staining really bad. So yeah, I think I need to put more water in it. Hold on. Guess it's separating really bad. Well, it's not separating. That's the problem, actually. Trying to get it to separate. I think my brush tip is still too thick on these. Yeah. Hey, Boog. Has anyone ever made tabletop rules to play with Gunplas like you play with Warhammer? Not officially. I know that there's because I looked it up. Like I was looking up like at videos on by other like Gunpla tubers, and I found one that hand painted him like Warhammer. And he in one of his videos he mentioned that he was hand painting him for the purpose of playing with a tabletop s game. I think it was something called War Dogs, if I'm not totally screwing up the name. I definitely need that's still too. I need a very fine tip brush for this. So we'll probably have to do. You envy those jaws? Yeah. The jawline on that Femstodes was impressive. I was like, holy shit. Like she's got a thicker jaw than I do. But like I said in my video, that kind of makes sense. Like the closest to lore accurate they got was the fact that she looked like a beefy dude. That I thought in my head is like for a fan fiction that fits, right? But I still was very unimpressed with the other parts. Yeah, this recess shading is going rough. Probably next time I should use a thinner, a different thinner than water, I'm thinking. Has anyone ever... Okay, sorry, I already read that. Manly Chin Industrial Complex. Oh, since you're starting out... Oh, whoops. I found something called Mobile Suit Skirmish, but that's about it. Yeah, like I said, it had a unique name to it that the guy would mention in his video. I'd have to look it up again. I'll probably look it up in I'll look it up in on my next live stream or next time I see you, Boog. Just hit me up and I will. I'll make sure to write it down and tell you what it's called because it was something like War Dogs. I'm pretty sure War Dogs was in the name, but it could also be me misremembering. And we're barely welcome to stream. Just looked like a somewhat effeminate guy at first glance. I didn't even really get the effeminate personally. I got the only part I'll say was effeminate was the eyes. Like the eyes felt kind of effeminate, but everything else, like just at screenshots, I thought it was just a really handsome dude. He's more manly than most humans in general. True. Since you're starting out, Acerbic says, invest in Dust Collector. The plastic dust, when you do sanding, will give you problems like the old model builders. Dust collectors. Okay. If I'm understanding correctly. Gotcha. Okay, now that I switched to this brush, this is actually going a bit smoother for the recess lining. I say a bit, but there's still some issues with some of these. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of, like, right there. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but right there towards the chest piece, it got way too thick. So I'm gonna have to clean that up with a little bit of line work at the end there. But I should be able to fix that fairly easy, fingers crossed. Microplastics in bows. She can eat. She can eat you in one bite. Well, she's supposed to be guarding you, since you're the empress and all. It's like a vacuum for a plastic desk while you sand the parts. Ah, okay. This might sound bad, but I just usually open a window and sand away. I don't usually. I probably should be a bit more safe with how I handle that, but I don't know. That's my usual tactic. Okay, so I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of cleanup on the chest piece already. Note to self. I think I already did both legs. I definitely did this one. Yeah, my line work here was way cleaner. Okay, so I already did that one. I don't think... If I did do this one, I didn't finish. So let's do this one then. Yeah, the weathering is going to be the fun part, because that's where I'm going to first try out my airbrush proper on this. Because I'm going to do it after it's all more or less assembled, too. That way it's all congruent with the weathering. Now, obviously, I'm doing the chipping with some sponges. I actually ordered some new ones, because my old sponges, my foam sponges, like these, they're kind of getting thick. So doing the weathering I want to do with my old one is going to be not... It's not going to come out the way I want, so I ordered some new ones for cheap, and hopefully those will arrive today. Hey, Nico! I said hi to you earlier, didn't I? Well, welcome again. Imperial Crazeman, welcome. Rob Liefeld, welcome to stream. And Gundam Society and its Future by Una Gundam. Mate, you can use poo as a good brown color. Also adds VR smells for you. I think I'm good. I'd rather just use a brown paint. Although, unironically, you can use some, like, actual, like, dirt dust. And if you seal it in somehow, that you can actually use that as a weather. Like, you can use actual dirt for weathering. Unironically. Pur's brown paint. Not a brown paint I typically use. Try to be so careful. And doing it with this panel lining with this kind of brush is stressing me. My personal canon is 40k never made anything past 8th edition. I mean, I wouldn't even put 8th edition on it, to be honest. For me, my cutoff would either be 8th if I'm being generous, and realistically 7th would probably be my hard cut. I would definitely do that for my hard cut, personally. Also, this shouldn't be happening in the first place. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Still with all my femininity intact. Coming up in here asking serious questions and shit. Who do you think you are, George Soros, mother? Don't know. I don't think so. Search can I was gonna miss my question in the context of the comments. Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. Let me scroll up. If there are female custodians now, why don't they just have a excuse me? Why don't they have a breeding program between male and female custodians so there are custodians from birth? Don't know. Not the most satisfying answer, but for the serious question, honestly, I don't think they've thought that that far ahead. I don't think they have. My best guess is if they're asked that, the writers have been told that writers will just give a BS one. They'll probably say, "Oh, they're sterile," or the process that does make custodies does make them sterile, similar to the Space Marine process, which even then, like the whole sterilization thing. There's all sorts of BS answers, no doubt, that they're likely going to try and throw out there, but I don't think they've thought that far ahead, to be honest. I don't think they've thought about that at all. To be quite frank, the Fem Studies thing, it's very clear they didn't think about it at all before just doing it. They clearly just, because you gotta understand, the motivations behind this are not anything beneficial to the setting or to the universe of 40K. This is all for political pandering. This is for an ideological. They're siding with. This is all about stating a side with an end of politics. That's why Fem Studies is happening. So you got to keep that in mind. That none of this is. It was thought at in favor of the lore or the setting. None of this was thought with any of that in mind. It's all done in a pocket, pretty much solely to appeal to a political ideology. So if you're looking for the whys and how comes and where this is going, if you're looking for that kind of thing in what they're doing, you've already kind of missed, not saying you specifically, but if you're looking for that in general, like the general person, if you're trying to understand the decision, it's as simple as that. Like, they haven't thought about it past that point. They haven't thought about how well this. It just shows like that how haphazard it was. They threw it in the codex, and when the community confronted them, they didn't have any kind of plan. They didn't have any proper response. All they did was gaslight everybody and lie to us about the lore we've been following for years and tell us all it's always been there. And then they waited for the woke crowd to run in and defend them, and they did. And the problem is none of this is going to get properly handled or fleshed out or anything. Like, it's going to be done, and they're going to continue to showcase it for political brownie points. But the deeper questions, the implications, the fact that they did it in the first place shows they don't give a damn about any of that. So you just got to keep that in mind, is that all of this was not out of some actual creative like vision that they saw truly would benefit the verse or benefit 40K. This was all done for political pandering. So I understand your question is serious, but the problem is there's no honest answer that GW has, and I certainly can't pose to you because for me, I don't support the decision, so I can't pose to you an answer to the question. Because I just don't know. If they had a plan, they would already put something into place, and the most that they've done is just shoehorn it into the Tithe series. It showcase, and to me, that's actually further proof that this was also done in tandem with like the Amazon show and everything else. Because what happened? The very first piece of media they threw in offense notice. Apparently, it's half of what makes Gunpla look amazing. True, and that's why I'm trying to do it correctly. GW thinks about things never. Pretty much. I mean, there's clearly no real attempt to make a thorough line with anything. It's pretty clear. The codex is currently so bad that no one is buying / playing them. Yeah, I mean that that's the thing. That also does leave a question in the air. Is like you put this new thing to politically pander into your newest Custodes Codex, but then you make it the worst codex ever. I mean, there's a joke in that, but I don't know if I don't know if that's just coincidence or if there was some kind of like thing there that they were thinking of. I don't know. Not gonna lie, the first few Gunpla I'm gonna buy physically, I'll paint them with my favorite characters' color schemes in mind, like Hellboy, nice, Optimus Prime, cool, and Batman. Well, Batman just with Batman just get a black primer, done. I mean, the only thing you'll paint at that point is like the eyes, and then maybe like a bat symbol on the front, which would either be yellow and black or white. I appreciate the response and insight. I too extremely worried about the Henry Cavill live action shows and movies. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I just don't know if even he can save it, given that this was shoehorned in there, probably likely due to contracts. I mean, there's a lot he can do to like give them what they want, like the political woke stuff, but still not have to breathe. That's the thing. That's the thing that keeps fucking with me about all this is they keep doing stuff that they don't have to do to pander to the woke. Because here's the thing, 40K already has plenty of things that are lore friendly, that are technically woke, that they could just amplify. And that would keep both crowds happy. The regular fans that love 40K and the people who are that they're pandering to, who will just want a political, kneeling and bowing to. Like, if with female representation. How about in 10th edition, they didn't have to make fem studies. They could have just made Sisters of Battle the poster girls. Instead of have Space Marines be the poster boys yet again, just put the Sisters of Battle on the front. Put Sisters of Silence on the front, and maybe inflate them to their own codex. Give them their own army. Make it so they can still work in tandem with Custodes, but they could have just done that. There is so many things they could have done that would technically appease the woke without having to piss off their own audience. But they seem determined to actively piss off a part of their loyal fan base, and I genuinely cannot fathom why. Like, I'm trying to think in the back of my head. It's like, you could have had your cake and eat it too. It's 40K. There's so many ways they could have played this that wouldn't have pissed anybody off, but yet they intentionally went for the one route that would piss people off. I cannot fathom why. Yeah, like there's plenty of female representation. There's plenty of, like, if they want to do an androgynous or non-binary thing, as cringe as that is, they could have done it with orcs. Granted, no one they couldn't have done it in a very pandery way because it's orcs. But there's so many ways they could have worked in those woke brownie points while not pissing the rest of us off. It's 40K. Like, there's so many angles they could have gone for, and they just chose the worst possible route. And I'm sitting here, and I will be sitting here for the next few years, just impossibly. I can't tell you why. I genuinely can't tell you what the fuck they were thinking. The only thing that makes sense is that they were trying to piss people off. Why? Either to make a bigger deal out of it, to make sure, I don't know if BlackRock and Vanguard mandated that they had to do it in a way that would piss people off, either to drum up, media coverage, or maybe just to advertise. Even then, it just feels so weak, though. It's not good advertisement. Controversy doesn't always equal good shit. It doesn't also always equal sales. So it feels so strange. Hey, Kaiju. I don't think they will do Sister of Battle as the poster child. They're so used to it being Marines as a default. But what I'm saying, though, is if you were trying to appease to like the woke representation BS, you could have done it without pissing off the vast majority of your fan base. You could have done it without even starting any kind of controversy at all. I mean, there's always going to be some person who doesn't like it, right? And I'm sure plenty of people would have still been like, "Hey, why are there Sisters of Battle the poster people now?" I personally, I wouldn't be reporting against that. I wouldn't have made a big deal about it. Yeah, I'm anti woke, and yeah, I would have figured it would be for woke reasons. But I love the Sisters of Battle at the same time. And like for me, I still would have worked with it. It's like, yeah, I know why they're doing it, but it's not a bad thing. As long as it's still the Sisters of Battle, right? As long as they're portrayed as the Sisters of Battle, who gives a shit? It would have been awesome. But no, again, they just went for the worst possible route. I don't know. I will say that this is another thing that really helps me getting into Gunpla though is, my frustrations with 40K at the moment. That does kind of help me like keep Gunpla and like working on this stuff. It does kind of help keep like the worst of my frustrations away because it's like, yeah, I'm mad at like how 40K is being handled right now, but it's not like that's my only hobby now. Plus, I'm gonna try and get into Conflict 47 in earnest at some point. It's just I keep going back to that at some point, but I'm not sure like where to begin with it. For me, it's the lack of like proper lore books and stuff. I think is what hurts it a little bit. With Gunpla, there's the anime, right? So I can always go to the anime. Elitist noob, how you doing? As Arch has said, paraphrasing here, the woke don't want expansion; they want just to consume and destroy, which is true. Arch is correct in this front. Yeah. Anyway, thinking on the Barbados Kit Bash with a heavy weapons theme. Ooh. What's the blinking behind me? Oh, that's a light. Unfortunately, the way they built this place, we can't replace those. So I have a damaged light bulb inside that light fixture. I don't know who designed this place, but the first floor apartment's wiring's all screwed up, and we can't replace that without taking out that. Well, first of all, we have to take apart that whole, thing right there, which that part's the easy part. But the light bulbs on the inside, they're covered in a bunch of like other stuff. It's not just as simple as screwing them out because they're actually like inside something, and it looks like a pain in the ass to replace. So I just kind of left it. There's other like I have a bunch of lamp lights set up all over the place that are easier to handle. So at some point where I will just completely take these apart and then take apart whatever that internal part is, and then we'll replace them. But I just don't know why it's not as simple as take that cover off and then put in a new light. I don't know why there's another thing in there. Like I'm not exactly sure. Fancy light? I don't even think it's fancy. Like it's, I jokingly call them nipple lights because it's got that round shape and then it's got the prong. So yeah, probably the same design. All right, maybe. In yours, is there like an internal like plate of some kind that covers over the lights? It not completely, just over the part that screws in and screws out, and you can't exactly yank out the bulb. Do you have that little plating thing there? Because ours is like screwed in, and we'd have to undo a bunch of screws, and we're not sure. My dad's worry is he's not sure where the wiring is on the inside of that plate, so he doesn't want to unscrew the everything and then accidentally nick one of the wires, because at that point we have to replace stuff. Space Marines without shoes cooking street food, screaming incoherently. That's random. Nipple lights, you got a chuckle at me. Out of the other half, you're welcome, Miss or Mrs. Bailey. Right, sorry I'm not keeping up with all the comments. I'm balancing responding to stuff while painting, while also answering questions about light bulbs behind me. Ooh. Probably heresy is involved with the design. Probably, to be honest. I got more of a pair of metals locks the circle bulb in place. Yeah, we actually have like a plate of some kind. I don't know if it was like a custom thing. Whoever put that in added. I don't know for what reason. But yeah, it's like a plate covering with just an opening for the end of the actual bulb. Don't paint the joint, by the way, unless you top coat it. I did top coat it, so I have been painting the joint. I top coated everything, so yeah. See, it's still freely moving, and it's all been painted. The internal side too. I do have to do a little bit of corrective painting on some of it, but yeah, it's all good. I top coated everything. Hey, Pettis, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. I've had an interesting day. I'm being so careful with this panel lining. I feel like I need my glasses. It's like I think I got nope. I didn't. I almost spoke too soon. I think I got everything. No, I didn't. Live stream vertical edition. Yep. I'm doing it on mobile. This is my first time doing it. I let me know if you guys want this to be the regular again, or in my new painting area. I just don't have any way to like live stream it via my DSLR because I would need a capture card and a computer over here. My computer is on the other side of the room, and I don't want to move it all the way over here. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe get like some kind of camera holder tripod thing and see if I can do it still with my phone, but maybe do it sideways or do a workaround of some kind with that. Actually, speaking of, let me check my battery because actually my battery's doing pretty good. I'm actually surprised by that. Oh, gotta prefer a female custody stream and review the Tides episode later. Many hugs. All right, many hugs, Empress. Have a great day. Thank you for stopping by. You can hear the crickets. Sorry, I'm right by the door, so. As was with gas glasses, he's getting old. Yes, I'm aged and dying. Very slowly. To me, a panel accent, my dude. You'll be done in only a minute in paneling. Well, I don't have that. I'm working with what I have. You seem like a cool dude. Looking forward to future streams. Awesome. Thank you, man. Remember, use the poo. I will collect the shit. Cheese will help. Take care, brother. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, there, I heard. Thank you. No problem. Okay. Panel. I feel. Remember that scene in Lord of the Rings where Gollum is desperately trying to get the ring from Frodo? He's like, I feel like that every time I'm trying to panel line. It's just. Okay, I think. God, I wish I had a proper light over here. I think. It's not very transparent there, but it's kind of hard to tell, but there is panel lining on all that. Problem is the lighting. But it's actually got a strong panel lining, too. Maybe I do another coat, maybe? Yeah, definitely do one right there. That's a little thin right there. Instead of buying new 40K novels, I've been expanding my Hellboy collection. Nice. There is so much good stuff ever since the 90s and still going strong. Love to hear it. Yeah, I haven't followed the Hellboy stuff too much. I know I've picked up recently. I picked up two the Darkness graphic novel collections or volumes. Sorry, I've been reading through the first one. I'm really loving it. I played the video game way back when, and I kind of like the comic is different. Like it's not trying to just continue the video game. It is going for it's going for its own flavor. Certainly, it's not following the first game at all. The second game still feels like it's related directly to the comic in some way, but the first game, very different tone. It's more of a tragedy in the first game. Same. Oh, did you also pick up the dark? It's good, isn't it? I like the story so far. Like, it's fun having like an anti. Well, not even an anti-hero. He's just a villain, really. Like, there's a point where you can't really call it an anti-hero. He's an anti-hero that says he's still our protagonist and he does horrible, fucked up shit. The problem is it's just not doing anything to benefit other people. My kind of character. So I think I'm good on that leg. How are we on this leg? YouTube notifications. Don't bother me. You own the Darkness Omnibus. Nice. Need the rest. Yeah, like pick up the graphic novels, man. Like, I don't know if I can't remember if the Omnibus is like part of that, but the volume 1 and 2. I've been going through them. Really good. I think there's volume 3. They're thick too, so it's a good number of pages. I think it's like 600 pages. And the artwork is, in my opinion, pretty damn good. I will say there's a couple plot points in the graphic novel I've been like, what the fuck? Both in a positive what the fuck, but still like I didn't see that coming, nor would I have if given the situation were a little bit different. I feel like I'm drawing with a really fine point pen. There we go. Hey, Nathan, what's up, my man? Any mold lines in the Gunpla models? No. Thankfully. I mean, there's groove lines, but it's not exactly the same thing. Okay, the video game was made after the comic. And okay, was it made after? Really? The first game? Because the first game is such a different plot. Video game was made after the comic, and the second game, the director was friends with the comic author. Ah, okay, maybe that explains it. Yeah, because the first video game, spoilers, the first video game for The Darkness was like a gothic tragedy, almost. And don't get me wrong, I love the plot of the first game. Like, it's a lot of fun. And I kind of like gothic tragedies on occasion. But I was, how do I put this? I was certainly enthralled by it, and when I switched to the second game, the vibe of the main character was completely fucking different. Like, he turned into a mob boss. He was part of the mob in the first game, but he was trying to get out of it, and he was, there's a bunch of tragedy that happened, a lot of depressive stuff, and then with the second game, it felt like a whole different tone with the main character. So yeah, I mean, and again, I don't dislike the difference. I just say if you only play the video games and you go from 1 to 2, you feel like you're playing two entirely different characters. So the new kids don't have much mold lines. Thank God for that. Well, got to love you and gotta love you and leave you, Asmo. Got a Custodes player to beat up with my guard. Do it. Send those Custodes back to the kitchen. I'm kidding. That's funny, though. But have fun, man. Have fun. I love the bit in the beginning where Jackie is lamenting not being able to not able to have sex, and the cultist has to yell at him. There's a way for you to have sex. Works for me. Paraphrasing. No, yeah. It's not towards the bit. The thing is, if you, like, the beginning of at least the volume, the graphic novel volume, It actually starts out like I was hoping it would start out with like the introduction of all that, but it actually starts out a little into the future, like, and then it goes back in time to explain some things, and then back to the present, which I like. But yeah. I definitely missed a couple spots here with my original panel lining. Gonna build alongside me? Awesome. What you building? What you building, lad? But I will say this, ever since I started my Gunpla journey, I have been shocked by how many 40k fans actually are into Gunpla too. I was expecting to have a division in my audience when I first started doing this, but so many, like, don't get me wrong, there has definitely been, like, on my Gunpla stuff. Granted, I've only done shorts up to this point, so we'll see, like, the true divide when I actually put a proper video up. But there's definitely a lot less people watching, like, my Gunpla stuff. And to be fair, I've built up a 40k audience. But I was expecting, like, a really hard divide and to see very few familiar commenters from my 40k vids onto the Gunpla vids. But I've actually seen quite a bit of carryover. I've seen quite a bit. It's been nice. And I apologize that you guys can hear the chirping. I'm right by the door, so deep apologies for that one. Master Grade Justice, nice. Yeah, the two Master Grades I ordered that I'm waiting on right now are both they're RGM 79, the sniper variant, and the RGM 79 ground type. Those are the two I'm waiting on right now. I'll give you guys a quick view of where I'm at right here. So, with the panel lining. So this is where I'm at with the panel lining on this one. It's pretty solid so far, if I had to argue. It's a little bled over in a couple spots, as you guys can tell. I'll do some edge highlighting to clean that up. And it's pretty good on this one as well, for the most part. I will say this. I'm pretty proud of the chest piece overall. That's where I'm going to have to do the most clean of the bleed over, though. As you can tell right there, that is really... It got really, really blotchy. So I'm going to have to clean that up. Got to clean right there. Yeah, thankfully, that'll be a quick clean. Like, it's very little of that's going to take me a while. I already panel lined on this one effectively, but I might hit it one more time. Yeah, and I'm pretty proud of the head. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of how that came out. I still gotta apply Corvus Black here to these components and finish applying the red here. So not all the base coating is done, but a good chunk of the base coating has been done. Thankfully. So I'm making progress. Making progress. Those two kits look great with a metallic inner frame. I take it they don't come with a naturally metallic internal frame, do they? Gotta paint that, don't I? That looks nice. Oh, thank you. You had Gunpla build long before 40k? Ah, okay, so you made the transition from there to here. Gotcha. Still, though, there's still, like, that carryover, though. Let me check what time it is real quick. Okay, we're good. I do have to keep my eye on the clock, because I got to work. Isn't it lovely to be employed? Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing I've experienced recently, is a couple of people who don't like me, very clearly, and I don't like them either, so that fits. But a couple of them will be like, well, at least I have a real job. Because, you know, after they get to an argument with me and they're not winning, or they're not convincing me of anything, you know, they get all pissy. And when that happens, okay, my phone might fall, hopefully not. But when that happens, you know, they get all defensive and stuff. And then they try and lash out at you personally. And one thing they try and hit on is like, oh, at least I have a real job. It's like there. It's like you do realize YouTube is a hobby for me, right? Like this isn't a career. Like this isn't what I do for a living. I do this for fun because I like broadcasting and doing just shit, sitting down, shooting the shit with people, having fun. I like talking about hobbies I enjoy with people online. That's what I like to do. I don't see YouTube as employment. If I get money from it, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. Like it's always nice to get a couple extra dollars here and there if people are generous enough to donate. But as a career, I mean, no, no. I don't think I'd ever want to do this as a career. As it is, I don't necessarily want to get to like a large sub count because I've seen what that does to people, and I don't want to become that. I really don't. As it is, like I want to back off on commentary videos and like news style videos. Not because, I don't agree with anything I've said there and I don't take anything back. I absolutely stand by everything I've said in my commentary videos, except for what I've had to retract in the past. But they're just not fun to do. Like I've done it because I like to call out like bad stuff that I see happening in my communities and happening around like stuff I enjoy, but it's not fun. Like those videos, it's kind of the same vibe. I'm getting the same vibe from doing those as I did when I did reaction videos. You know, it's lazy content. It's you're always like waiting or looking at everything through the lens of like, okay, how can I like cover this and not necessarily sensationalize it yourself, but you're like, okay, well, what angle do I view this in for this? And thankfully, I've avoided that mentality. But I know a lot of commentary creators who do, and they go looking for things to cover that, quite frankly, nobody gives a shit about. And I've avoided that. I only ever have covered stuff I genuinely have some opinions on or that bother me. But I don't know. It is getting to a point where I'm doing them too often. Like I recently just scrolled through my video backlog in the last I want to say year, and way too many of my videos were big commentary videos. And don't get me wrong, that's been great for views. It's been great for subscribers, but it's not fun. Like I want to make more painting videos. I want to make more lore videos, but I keep getting distracted with calling out BS. And I stand by the call outs, but I don't want to do it every day. Like I that gets tiring. It makes you angry a lot of the time. I've noticed like it does. Like when you're constantly seeing all the stuff, it's not like it's not there. Like I'm not getting angry at ghosts here, but it's frustrating. I want to talk about stuff and have fun with it. I want to. That's like my hope with Gunpla, right? Is like I'm hoping, hey, I can. It's a pretty solid universe with pretty solid set lore. It's got fun model kits that I can paint and assemble and have fun with. And it's an opportunity to actually talk about something from positively for once because I don't feel like I've had a chance to talk about outside of the Voxwork podcast. I really haven't had a lot positive to say about 40K in a hot minute, and it's a hobby I love, and there's a lot about it I will always love, but that's not a good feeling. Feel free to tell me if I'm not making sense, but set of glow in the dark paints come out recently for Gunpla. Glow in the dark. Huh. Yes. So when they make fun of your employment. Well, the thing is that when they make fun of my employment, they're assuming I'm doing YouTube full time. I don't know why. I guess they assume, oh, hey, he's got a bunch of videos about this stuff and he uploads fairly decently. He must do this for a living. No, no, I do not. One thing that definitely made me like realize I don't want to do commentary as much anymore is I know I used to feel like I was actually like standing up and like spitting in the face of the stuff that's like invading hobbies, right? Honestly, I don't know how true that is anymore. Because I see I look around me and I see like Arch, I see side scrollers, I see a lot of contemporaries I'm around, But then I noticed like the flow of their content. Like they're always looking for like a new thing to jump on and hit. And I'm not saying it's fake necessarily. Side scrollers, I don't know. I've had a bad taste in my mouth since the dev stuff because they never like I didn't enjoy when Craig, the host of Side Scrollers, more or less told us all not to rely on our lying ears and that Dev was actually apologizing properly. It's like, no, he wasn't. He was sorry he did it when he did. He said that explicitly. So that rubbed me the wrong way. At the same time, I'm assuming he's friends with Dev, so he's inclined to defend him, even when he's indefensible, in my opinion. I don't know. That did rub me the wrong way, so I don't know. Now I've been hit with the bug of like if this is what like commentary people and like people who call it the anti-woke are like that it didn't feel good. It felt like okay, they're a cabal just like Hollywood. If this is how they're gonna handle when one of their own fucks up, I don't know. That might be an extreme thing to say. I'm not saying that is how it is. I'm just saying that's how it comes off, and I don't want to be part of my own YouTube anti-woke Hollywood elite. I want to call stuff out when it's affecting my hobbies and things that I enjoy, but I'd like to think that if I like suddenly fucked up real bad and said something horrific, Arch would shit down my throat. That side scrollers would shit down my throat. Granted, they don't like me anyway. I don't think, if they know of me, but I'd like to think that we're all better than the New York Post. We're all better than the Guardian. We're all better than the Hollywood Reporter. We're normal guys who will call shit as we see it, not call things as we see it, but also factoring in our friendships and our little social groups. So, I'd like to think we're better than that, but the stuff with Dev is kind of showing me that's not the case. Like friendships and associations will trump every time calling someone out for their bad behavior, and I'm not really down for that. Dev's a frequent donator in side scrollers, so they maybe softballed him. Oh, they definitely softballed him. That's not in question. They softballed him. My thing is like, okay, did they softball him because he's a friend? And that's I again with my friends, if they said something horrific like Dev has said and has doubled down on, I wouldn't defend him. Not even tangentially defend him. Like I would just call him a shithead and tell him either get your act together or we're not friends. But I don't know. I did not like how they handled his apology. They softballed him hard. I'd just keep Dev around because people hate super chat, and I didn't see Dev in the side scores anymore. Yeah, I haven't seen him on since, so I am able to watch them. I will say this: if he's ever on an episode, I'm not watching it. I will actively avoid it because I don't want to support Dev. I don't want to support someone who celebrates the death of one of my countrymen who did nothing wrong, like a firefighter who got shot in a crowd. Like that was sickening. No, that shit. I don't know. I consider that pretty indefensible, but I suppose I'm alone in that regard. Well, not alone, but amongst the content creators, I felt like I was alone there. Me and Ace though, like Ace made a really good video recently on his ass, which y'all should check out. But this is me spitballing. Of course, I'm not saying like I'm correct about any of this. This is just how I feel. So it is anecdotal. It is biased from how I'm seeing things and experiencing them. But all of it's kind of led me to go, you know what? I don't really want to do commentary if this is how it's going to be. If it's going to be a cabal of people who are just going to defend each other because they're friends. No, I thought people were better than that, but now I don't necessarily think that anymore. It's definitely a consequence of friendships, and people have seen the other side fuck over their friends, that the other side is more lenient as a response. I suppose so, and that is a fair point to make. Is like, okay, they're being more lenient because they see the woke eat their own like that, and I get that, but it's different when it's like, okay, your friend goes a little off kilter, but you defend them. It's another for your friend to go off kilter, defend it, double down on it, triple down on it, and then when you finally convince them to apologize, they don't even properly apologize. They make a half-hearted statement of, "Oh, well, I'm sorry I said it when I did." Translation, I'm sorry you all are mad at me for saying it. Not that I said it at all. Not that it was wrong at all. Not that anything I said was incorrect. That I said it when I did. And you don't call him out? You don't hold his feet to the fire? Like, it's not a very good friend. At that point, it's not like you're just, you're eating your own. It's you're calling him out. You're holding him accountable, and he's clearly not sorry. So I don't know. That again, it rubbed me the wrong way. So for me, I'm not down with that. Human commentating kind of works, judging by how YouTube is constantly pressured to censor. Yeah. Even V no longer wants to talk with Dev. I mean, I know that V avoided being on live stream with him, but I don't necessarily know if that's the same as like they might talk in the background. And again, I don't know. High grade. I'm doing a high grade Gundam Calibarn. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Did I? An Imperial Knights player? All right, hello Marco Polo. And I feel that my faction gets shafted since they aren't the poster boys. I will say this: the Imperial Knights definitely get shafted, but I will make this argument: you guys don't get shafted anywhere near as much as some of the Xenos factions, man. The Drukari have gotten shafted real fucking hard, and over the years. So have the Eldar players. Yeah, rules wise, they've gotten pretty. Rules wise, they've gotten pretty good lately. I mean, they're pretty fucking killer in 10th edition. At least they were last time I played. I don't know if they FAQ'd it yet, but they got they get a lot of love rules wise, but models wise, updates wise, the Eldar constantly get left in the shithole. So there's plenty of factions that have it worse than Imperial Knights, but I will say you guys don't get a lot of updates. But to be fair, like, do you need to update the Canis Rex? I mean, do you need to update like some of the Imperial Knight models? They look timeless. Like the detail, the complexity, the functionality, they look fucking killer. So there's not much that needs really to get a facelift with Imperial Knights. But maybe I'm just not thinking of something. I mean, I'm not an Imperial Knights player, so maybe you're playing. Maybe you're talking rules wise. I feel you very much. My own side of YouTube and community has that kind of stuff. Just gotta stand on principles. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm, I don't want to. I don't know. I want to be honest with myself. God damn it, telemarketer. Like I want to stand on like my principles and stuff, and I do. And I get for me, that's why I'll still call out Dev when he does horrible shit and says horrible shit, which he's want to do. That is his instinct. It's just annoying to me though that other people I thought of as principled and thought of as honest and would call this kind of crap out, and I see them not only not calling it out, but in Side Scroller's case, actively not just Side Scroller's case, but actively still supporting him. And it's, I don't know, I consider it disgusting. It's like, the guy didn't make a proper apology. It'd be one thing if he did actually say, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, I screwed up." It's like, yeah, he's your friend, you're going to accept that, and quite frankly, I would roll with it. I don't think I'd believe Dev if he came out today and said, I'm completely sorry, full stop, period, point blank, period. I wouldn't believe him based on our interaction, but yeah. I could at least understand letting it go at that point. It's like, yeah, he said sorry. And he didn't add any qualifiers. He didn't play a game of semantics and wording. He just said he was sorry. Whether he was honest with it, I wouldn't really believe. But again, that's me. I can understand it from their perspective. But again, right on the side scrollers, what did he say? I'm sorry, I said it when I did. When I did. In other words, I'm mad. I'm sorry that you guys are mad. Not that I said it, not that what I said was wrong. When I did. I don't respect that. I thought that was pathetic. I still think that's pathetic. So, I don't know. I've definitely been disenfranchised by the reaction from what I consider like my side of things over that, and I don't know. I think I'm good with commentary. I'm not. And again, I'm when I see something I genuinely want to call out, I will still do it, but my enthusiasm for it is not exactly there. Maybe I'm being unfair with like the level of integrity I'm expecting from other people in my sphere. I don't know. But I would hope that if you're friends with someone, you would be good enough to call them out and be honest about it. And then hold their feet to the fire until they properly handle the shit. I don't know. Again, that's where I'm coming from. You're broke. Fair enough. I just felt that the lore was lacking, not many stories. That's a fair angle to say that the Imperial Knights are not getting a lot of love. You guys don't get a lot of stories. You get included in a lot of stories, especially in some the 40K comics, but you don't tend to have any dedicated stories, which is kind of sad. And I do think Imperial Knights should get more. And because there's a lot to work with there. I mean, like the personality, like you could have a main character Imperial Knight pilot, and you could do so much with like the personality, because they're like from nobility and they're super like high up their own butt, and they're constantly talking obnoxious high Gothic around low Gothic speaking only like people, and they're like, oh, I'm just so brilliant. Thank you all. Bow to me. Like, there's so much fun you could do with like that kind of eccentric character. So yeah, it's kind of a letdown that we don't have more Imperial Knight centric stories. We always want to build an Imperial Knight, but Gunpla is cheaper. True. I've assembled two Imperial Knights, painted two. One of them was my Canis Rex, and the other one was a Chaos Reaver, War Dog. No, War Dog, I think. And or War not War Dog, Warhound, the smaller Chaos variant that came in the recent box set in the Chaos Knights. I did that, and that was a lot of fun. I sold that one because I loved the paint job. I love how it looked, but I needed some money, and I wasn't like planning on playing with it, so I ended up selling it. But I liked how it came out. I still have my Canis Rex. It's Black Templar themed, and I really am attached to that one, so I'll probably hold on to that one for a long ass time. I stretch my back a little bit. I'm an old man. You would play Eldar if Exodites were an army? Yeah. The Exodites are the ones with like the dinosaurs and shit, right? Wasn't the last night book about the Jaeger pilot shit? I don't know. There's a lot of panel lighting. I would agree with you there, Nico. I would definitely agree with you there. I have one painted Imperial Knight and two gray unpainted ones. We'll get to painting, laddie. Slay the gray. Now, handle it at your own pace. I'm sure it'll look good by the time you're done. Just a bit lazy when it comes to it. Fair enough. The fact that elves riding dinosaurs isn't a thing for GW to print money astonishes me, especially when they can just retool lizard man models to compensate. They could, but again, GW are not the smartest with their business decisions if the Femstories thing is anything to go by. On one hand, we could actually, hey, what's a better idea? It's like, hey, like Vanguard and BlackRock really want us to like do woke stuff in our media. How do we do this? Oh, well, we could do the lore-friendly thing that would piss off 0% of our audience, and just have Sisters of Silence, and we just overinflate them, maybe make them their own codex, maybe make them the poster girls for 10th edition. Or we piss off everybody who is an actual fan and shoehorn in females and then one of the only two all-male factions. Oh, that was such a disappointment. Again, they're not the smartest with business decisions. Because custodians play known to man. Probably at this point. I'm assuming he certainly like loved the lore as much as he comes off that he does. Yeah, I'd imagine he's pretty pissed. Dry brushing a robot with dark silver is a fast way to paint. Yeah, if you're looking to just speed do it, yeah. That is certainly a way to do it. Be careful. There you go. Give it a second to dry. Ooh. Hey, Matty DeWow, how you doing? GW could have made Extra Militarum poster child for 10th. Yeah, they could. Again, I'm just spitballing ones, but literally they had like 87 routes they could have gone to appease the woke that still would have appeased their core audience. Like they could have had their cake and eat it too. 40K is one of those settings where it already has so much material in it that you can present and technically appease the woke while not having to breach any lore. That was so many routes they could have gone. And they chose the worst possible route. I don't know. Temporarily, and I'm working on the Gundam Calibarn. It's from the Witch from Mercury series, which I haven't watched, but I was looking around for a simple model to start with for a painting project, an assembly project, and this is what I saw. Stretching my neck out a little bit. 100% dude to agree with you, Ezragon. Thank you. And again, like I'm anti-woke. Like I hate that kind of stuff. But if they had done like Female Guard, Sisters of Battle, Sisters of Silence, anything like that, and just made them the poster girls, yeah, the reason would be pretty clear. It was for woke reasons. But core fans, as long as they're portrayed accurately, wouldn't have had a problem. We would have been like, fuck yeah, man. It's like, yeah, we know why you're doing it, but like the why doesn't matter when the result is something cool that still works for the setting, that still appeases the core audience. Like I would have just been fine with it. I would have maybe mentioned it in a live stream or like on a video. It's like, yeah, I know why they're doing it, but would I have crusaded against it? Would I have had like a huge like, no, fuck this? No, I wouldn't have done that at all. I would have been like, cool. Like the Space Marines have been the poster boys for since the beginning. Why not mix it up with another existing faction? You have like a ton of them. You have so many other factions that like even if you just want to stick with Imperium, so it still appeals to like the average audience goer. Again, Imperial Guard, Sisters of Battle, Inquisition. There's so many like poster boys you could have put on the poster over the years that nobody would have had a problem with. To mix it up each edition. Hell, even if they're determined to still do Space Marines, they could have done different chapters for each edition. It's like, okay, this edition Black Templars, this edition Ultramarines, blech. This edition Imperial Fist, this edition Salamanders, this edition Iron Warrior. Not well, they're Chaos, so that would work for Horus Heresy. That wouldn't work for 40k. But like mix it up, like mix it up. It's not like the Raven Guard. It's just GW always seems to pick the worst route every single time, and they always pick the path of most resistance every single time. And outside of it intentionally drumming up controversy to hopefully get in the media, I cannot fathom the why of it. I cannot. I don't know if you guys can like guess. Welcome, but Bitch for Mercury has the best grunt designs, but the second worst Gundam is it this one? Wait, you call Bitch for Mercury without too much spoiler. Well, actually, I don't know. I already have so many other Gundam series to go through. Maybe I'm not gonna worry about spoilers for that one series because isn't it? It's in a one-off timeline, right? It's not in the UC timeline or anything like that. The show I started with Acerbic was I first watched Gundam The Origin, and then I just finished recently Mobile Suit Gundam, the original '79 show. Which, by the way, unpopular opinion, and I'll give like in the video I'm working on for it, the 40k fan gets into Gunpla video. I will explain my reasons, but I'll if you guys really need me to here, I can explain it. But I'm not a fan of Amuro. Don't get me wrong, he got way better by the end of the series, but oh boy, the first like 20 episodes. 25 episodes. Oh my god, was he insufferable. I hated that kid. My favorite moment was when Bright slapped him in the face. That should be very telling about how I felt about his character. I was like, holy shit, kid. How do you successfully annoy the shit out of me every fucking episode? And I get that the whole theme is he's a teenager being thrust into war, right? I understand that. I understand that's why he's acting out, why he has these tantrum-like moments. But it doesn't help that throughout it all, kids who are his age or younger are handling and being more mature than he is infinitely. And you can't just say, oh, it's because he's piloting the Gundam and he's getting right in the face of danger. Several of those other kids have been piloting the gun cannon and the gun tank. And they're still not freaking out like you are. Don't get me wrong, in the moments they're freaking out, but then when they get back in the ship, they're back to being more mature and handling things better than you. So that, if anything, only made him act worse. And I think my least favorite... Oh, I don't want to spoil, though. I almost have to do a spoiler. Suffice to say, I really, really disliked his character first half of the show. And the second half didn't quite fix it all for me. I mean, again, he got better, he improved, but he's one of the protagonists of an anime that has rubbed me the wrong way, probably the most in a lot of anime I've watched. Amuro was a brat till his return in Char's counterattack movie. I haven't seen that yet, so I don't want to talk about it in detail. Zeta is better. I haven't seen that either. That's the next one I'm watching is the 08th MS team. Yeah, the Vietnam one. That's the grunt one. I'm checking that one out next because I'm kind of doing some semi-chronological order. And I know that was made way later, and I know it has no events related to it directly with the main events of Mobile Suit Gundam, but I want to check it out. 08th MS team is peak. Hey, don't spoil it for me. I haven't started it yet. I'm actually going back into Mobile Suit Gundam and like picking out specific episodes I want to talk about in the review. Yeah. Willem X Gamer, how you doing? Sup to you too, my man. Watch War in a Pocket as a follow up to 08th MS team. I can, assuming it's not like too much later in the timeline. Panalanin. Doing good. Out of town. Just saw your most recent Fem Studies vid. Q. It is sad to see where GW is going. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm done with 40K's like future, so to speak. I think the last like new 40K product I'm gonna buy is based on some of the reviews I've seen. I am not getting it yet. I'm waiting for a couple friends to actually play it first because I don't trust all the reviewers that have come out for lots of reasons. I don't trust reviews that come out day one because you know that those people had the footage. They got a deal with the developer / publisher to get it early so they could get all their footage, record it, play it for as many hours as they wanted to, and then make a review. Now, ideally, that would be good, assuming the integrity isn't affected, but I inherently think the integrity is affected by that. So, nah, I don't respect it. So, I don't trust reviews that are day one from YouTubers and stuff because I've been bitten in the ass with that multiple times. I mean, anyone here watch Act Man? Who here saw his Payday 3 video? Now, I didn't get that because I'd already learned my lesson by that point. But if you did, or you saw how Payday 3 is and was going, yeah, that was bad. Like, he basically put an ad up and called it a review. That was, yeah, never trust reviews. It's not never. It depends on who. My thing is never trust a review from someone who got it early because that means the reason they got it early is the people who made the thing contacted or were contacted by them and struck a deal. Know that a deal was signed. Whether it's an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, whether it's a contract that requires a certain level of positivity in the review, but know that that review is now tainted. They got it early. That review's tainted. You cannot trust it. It's more of an ad at that point. Because even if they weren't paid directly, even if there was no contract, right, that said explicitly, hey, you have to talk about this positively, the implication alone will still affect the bias of the reviewer. Because they like early access. Lots of reviewers want early access to something, so that way they can have a video day one. That alone, that incentive to maintain positive relationships with the developer, and then by extension, other developers seeing how that person towed the line, as it were, that'll continue to get you. It's the same. It's the reason why IGN is as shit as they are now these days. It's the same reason why Screen Rant is as shit as they are these days. We don't trust these outlets for reviews anymore because they toe the line and always paint the reviews in the most kind, respectful, and generous way they possibly can, and that's being kind. They've been effectively paid off, so I don't trust jack from reviewers that get it day one. So as much as I like the personality behind Force Gaming, for example, like I like the guy who does that channel, I don't trust his reviews day one ever. I never will. And I don't. That goes for every other reviewer that's covered Space Marine 2 up to this point. I'm not saying they're bad people, but I'm saying you cannot trust a review where someone got early access. It's one thing if they all pre-ordered it and they got it today, but again, their reviews are out today. They didn't get the game today by paying for the pre-order early access and then finish the game in 8 hours or 5 hours flat. No, they got early access. Force Gaming at least put the hours he put on. He has 50 hours in the game before he made his review, which means he got it way before today. Then today is the day it comes out for early access. You cannot trust those reviews. Point blank. If I were to put it in a very rude and brash way, they're lying to you. They're not lying as in they're telling they're not lying in the sense that they're completely inventing everything about the game, but they're lying in the instance where they're gonna say, "Oh, my review's unbiased," or "My review is all good and all set." Whether they'll admit it or not, whether it's as explicitly written down as contract or not, no one walks away from getting that level of early access to the point you're playing. You're given enough time to play 50 plus hours plus recording, editing, and writing and scripting for your review. Yeah, that level of early access, your opinion is tainted at that point. Because again, even if it's not written down, people like that. People like that early access. They want to maintain those relationships. So no, I don't necessarily think that you're inherently a bad person if you do that. You're just playing the business game at that point. But at that same token, I can't trust a review. So no, I'm waiting for friends to play the early access and get back to me rather than trust reviewers. Never trust the word of a shill, in my opinion. I agree, and that's essential. I'm not going to say like everyone who gets that level of early access is necessarily a shill, but they are paid off effectively. Again, may not be an actual dollar amount, may not be written down in an NDA, but you're paid off by the early access itself. That itself is currency. It's just social currency. In concept, the idea of early review can help people be informed and be part of the early hype if it's good. However, how it's set up, incentives, paid shilling, and buttering up by devs, yeah, exactly. Like the way it's done, it's very clearly the whole process is designed to incentivize positive reviews rather than negative ones. Like how many reviewers have gotten early access to a game by the developers, maybe even been flown out to an event to do it, and how many of them were like, yeah, I played the game for a bit, it was kind of shit? How many? Zero. Well, to be quite frank, maybe some of you have an example, but as far as I know, zero. That, if you get that level of early access, you get that level of, fingering up the bum by the developers, nah, your review's tainted. I don't care how much you insist it's not, it is at that point. Whether the intent of it is there or not, that's a different thing. These companies need to allow early access people to have their own opinions. Better yet, I mean, that again, that's the ideal, right? Like the idea of that level of early access would be, okay, so the media can get their hands on it and can tell the public, hey, this is good or this is not. But that's not how it works out in practice, because the developers won't want to give access early to a game that's incomplete, unfinished, full of bugs and issues. They're not going to want to give that to the media and then encourage the media, tell everybody our game is a piece of shit so we don't sell a single copy. No, they don't want that to happen. They don't want that to happen. They want to sell copies. So, yeah, there's, if not explicitly, there's an implicit, hey, we'll give you early access, but, throw us a bone here. And I'll never forget the Cyberpunk 2077 reviews. That was bullshit. That was bullshit. Because a lot, that's when I lost all respect for Skill Up. Because Skill Up, to be fair to Skill Up, they did mention, oh yeah, there were some bugs and there were some issues, but they were not, and the thing is, they're like, oh, well, they weren't allowed to use their own footage. Cool. You still could have said explicitly, hey, yeah, this game runs like dog shit. Like, it's a complete piece of dog shit, even on our hardware. And they didn't say that. They said it was a little buggy. They said it was a little rough. Did you paint over the clear parts? No, I did not. I removed all the clear bits, and I'm adding those. I'm adding those after everything's painted. In the case of the head, I finished everything, so it's so all the glowy bits in there. But yeah, it's still clear plastic. If I have a way to still make that look like glass. I just use a gloss wash. I may be an amateur with Gunpla, but I'm not an amateur with painting figures. Let me double check what time it is. Hold on. Okay, I got a few more minutes. I just got to leave myself enough time to shower before work and also go feed the dog. That'll take like 5 minutes though. I just gotta get all that. We got a new brand dog food, so I'm just gonna try that out with her. Because her last, my dog hasn't been enjoying her last set of dog food, not that much. All right, where was I? All right, so what part of you needs more panel lining? I'm gonna dry brush the hand there. I'm gonna dry brush that for a metallic effect for the scrapings. Hope it looks good. Do you think I'll get demonetized for showing gross water? No. Well, it depends on what you mean by gross. Like a solid maybe. Like it depends on what you mean by gross. Well, Zaku's and Battletech models. Yeah, drop Shill up after he kept doing good notes for bad games. I like the personality behind Skilla for a couple years, but they kind of they bungle fucked it by the end. Mike Cassius, painting and gluing miniatures looks really hard. It's why I haven't gotten involved. Hard. Well, first of all, I'm doing Gunpla, which you don't have to glue. You do have to assemble it, and it's a lot of parts. And high grade's pretty straightforward in my opinion, but I'm also used to Warhammer models. So, but for miniatures and stuff, there's certainly some parts of that you should worry about. But honestly, it's not, as long as you follow the instructions and you go slow. I wouldn't say it's hard. It's just frustrating. And even then, it depends on the model. Some models are like piss easy. Forgive my language, but are piss easy to do. Like hardly any effort at all. So it's one of those things where it's dependent on what you're doing. Like heavily dependent on what you're doing. What is it with Japanese and not catering to the left commies? I hope you're saying that in a positive context. I think it comes from like their culture, and even then, I would warn you, they're not immune to it. In fact, there is a little bit of a woke movement in Japan right now. It's just not as big there as it is here. With Japan, like their cultural influences are far stronger. Like their internal cultural identity is far stronger. They're a fundamentally, I won't say conservative, but they are fundamentally reserved nation. I mean, think about it, for like what, a couple hundred years to 100 years, they were an isolationist country, and even to this day, there's still a little bit of that lingering in their culture. They don't love it when foreigners move there. They don't like necessarily treat you utterly like shit, but there's an aura in Japan where it's Japanese first. Like they may, and again, it's not hateful. I wouldn't describe it as hateful. It's just they're very protective of their culture. And because they're protective of their culture, well, communism, left-leaning, woke stuff, that is inherently subversive to a culture. It's the idea that there is no individual culture, or if there is, you use that as a weapon to hit other cultures with. It's like, oh, I don't necessarily like going to this kind of church or this kind of location. It's like, oh, so you're a bigot to those people, but then they turn right around and they shit talk all religion, or they shit talk all of like a certain, like, oh, are you a racist because you don't like this one dude who happens to be black? And then they turn around and then be like, oh, white people are fucking evil. It's like that kind of intentional subversiveness doesn't really work with the Japanese because they're so strong in their culture that they defend it vehemently. That being said, it's important to also know that they're not immune. Like they're just, I would say they're behind the game, thankfully, and they're fighting back against it a lot better than we are. but I don't think that it's going to last forever, because it's not. Like, with enough influence, with enough of a push, Japan is just as likely to start doing the crap that's happening in the West right now. It's just the woke mind virus is just mainly concentrated in the biggest, most influential countries. So our country and by extension our allies, like the English or currents. Like if you're in England right now, it's really bad there. Like they're basically under an authoritarian state at the moment. Like they cannot speak freely, and if you speak out against certain things, you will be arrested. They're freeing up prison space just to shove people in. Somali isn't doing us any favors. This might sound fucked up, but in a weird way, he might actually be doing the Japanese a favor, because the amount of damage he's done for foreign relations, especially American foreign relations in Japan, has made the Japanese like even infinitely more distrustful, especially with the people he specifically interacted with, but also word to mouth reputationally. In a weird, fucked up way, that's kind of helped the Japanese further push back against like the woke stuff and gentrification starting to leak into their country, but not by much, right? It's not like he alone is made like the pushing. He alone, I think, made a slight impact. Sorry, I think I just spit. But it's fucked up to think about it this way, but I think it's true. Like it's in a weird way, it's probably made them more cautious of foreigners and foreign influence, and that's resulted in them kind of reinforcing their cultural identity. I don't mean to give the guy any credit because he's a total fucking tool, but like, and I don't think he did it intentionally, right? Like, this is just, I think, a happy accident. Not happy for everything, but he alone has hurt relations with Japan from the West. It's weird to think about, but in a fucked up way, that has helped secure Japan slightly more against wokeness. Sit there. I just don't want my paint to dry out, so I just put the cover on it for a second while I'm specifically chatting with this stuff. Hey man, hey Digital Punk, hey man, I hope you are doing well. What are we talking about right now? We're talking about why Japan has been more like secured against like wokeness and communism and stuff. Yeah, so I just went on a small rant about like the why of it. The Japanese greatly protective to the point they would burn down an anime studio for changing story from the books. Did that happen? If that happened, I haven't heard of it. I feel like Capcom and Square are trying to appeal to the weirdos of the West, not of their own country. That may be true. Not entirely. They still always try and appeal to their own country to an extent first. But it depends on which Capcom game we're talking about. But that did happen. What the fuck? Kyoto Animation. Well, there you go. There's an example why the Japanese are less affected by it. Even despite that, I don't know how long ago that happened, but again, you got to keep in mind that even in the face of stuff like that, they're not immune. They're not. Like, it's just they're not a priority target, thankfully. But hopefully when they become so, or if they become so, hopefully it's an if, not a when, they are still secure enough to push back against it. But I don't know. It's one of those things where you can't kill an idea. And the idea of communism appeals to a lot of lazy people who want to blame other people for their problems and not be able to blame themselves, not be able to hold themselves accountable for the shitty world that they live in. People want to it's really fucked up, but people want to surrender all responsibility to someone/something because they don't have the integrity and they don't have the self-accountability to recognize when something is their own fault and something is within their own power to do. And it's sad. Like, it's sad that people are like that, but that's how they were raised in a lot of cases. Like if you were raised in a family that lived off of welfare in Section 8, yeah, like one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to come to completely resent that life and you want to bust ass to make something of yourself, or you fall into the belief that that's normal and that relying on the government and relying on other people to basically facilitate your life, that just turns you like that permanently. Now, the ideal is that someone would be like, fuck this, I don't want to live like this, I want to thrive. And that has happened. There are some famous cases where people like took themselves up by the bootstraps and made something of themselves. The sad thing is lots of other people who are down and out simply refuse to look at those cases, or if they do, if you point to them, it's like, hey, well, you're blaming like the rich people for all your problems, but look at this person who's rich who was born poor. Why don't you take your? It's like, oh well, it's not easy. Okay, that's an exception. It's not the rule. It's like, well, why don't you try and be the exception? A lot of people just want to live a defeatist victim mentality. Like they would rather blame the world for all their problems rather than take responsibility and build something on for themselves. And it is entirely down to upbringing to define that. Like your upbringing pretty much sets the tone for that stuff going forward in your life. So I feel bad for those people a lot of the time because of that mentality, but at the same time, it's their I don't have any respect for the refusal and inability to A, recognize it, and then B, to push back against it. And to say, hey, I'm in a country of the land of the free, the home of the brave. It's a capitalist country where if I work hard and I bust ass and I do enough, yeah, it's gonna suck. I'm gonna work for a lot of entitled bosses that are gonna treat me like shit. There's a lot of middle management that'll treat me like shit. But if I can suck it up, work with it, and stick the landing as I work through, I can make something of myself. I can do something with myself. I just need to find what I'm good at, what I can do and not be utterly miserable doing, and then push through. That's what you need to do. You also got to learn to be responsible with money. There's a lot of things you got to learn to do, and oftentimes on the fly, but that is how people should think about things. It's like, okay, what can I do to make my life better? What can I do to improve my circumstances? What can I do? That's what I do. Like every time something goes wrong, I think, what can I do? What can I do? Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just do not have that ability. They do not have the ability to say, what can I? Because they don't want to take responsibility. Because if they do, they feel that somehow they're going to like not be able to handle it. It's like they just can't fathom taking responsibility. Like they themselves see themselves on a pedestal above such notions that it's their fault that they're where they are. So that's an unfortunate reality. But my recommendation to everybody is like there are going to be occasions where something is genuinely not your fault and it is someone else's fault. You might get stabbed in the back, someone might lie about you. That does happen. But 90% of the time when something goes wrong, when your life isn't how you want it, 90% of the time it's something you could have prevented. It's something you could have foreseen. 90% of the time it is something that you could have avoided if you had made better decisions. Like I like a friend of mine just recently, just as a good example. Richard Silver's light bulb behind you might need changing. Yeah, people already mentioned that. It's as I've explained, there's something like inside this nipple bulb. That's what I call them because it's got that little prong at the end. But inside of this, there's a metal plate holding the bulbs in, and we have to unscrew it. And we've already seen proof that the wires are loose in there, and we're worried that they're loose near the screws. And even we would turn it off, obviously, but we don't want to damage the mechanisms in there. As my dad put it, it looks like a shoddy piece of shit, whoever installed that. So at some point, I probably will have to take it apart and risk damaging the wiring in there to replace it. But right now I have a bunch of like lamps and stuff sit around, so I'm not too worried about it. There's other ways for me to illuminate the room. So I think I'll do it eventually when like I just get sick of it, I guess. But for right now, I have a lot of other stuff I'm trying to do. Like right now I'm trying to completely reorganize this corner of my office or my work area. So there's that. But welcome. How you doing, Richard? The titty light. I mean, again, it looks like a titty. It's round and it's got the nipple. I don't know what else to call it. I'm sure there's another term, but I don't know what it is. They are the definition of cheap garbage on lamp design. Pretty much. All right, have a good one, Undead Nerd. Thank you for stopping by. 2019, a man claimed Kyoto Animation plagiarized a story he wrote and set the studio on fire. The Japanese are very passionate people. I think the main reason Destiny celebrated Cory Comparator's murder was because he had a wife and family that actually cared for him. Maybe. I mean, I don't think it's as deep as that. I know you might be making a sly fuck him kind of comment, but at the same time, to kind of respond to that seriously, I think Destiny celebrated because he is just ideologically captured. Like when you are that intertwined with politics, like Dev is a good example. They're both far leftists. No matter what Dev says, he's not. Sorry, looks like my signal broke for a second there. My apologies. But like Dev and Destiny, right? They're both far leftists. No matter what Dev says, he's not a centrist. When we look at how they respond to that situation, honestly, I think that it's just their politics is more important than everything else in their life. And you see it with the woke entirely. Like their politics is more important than everything else. And I'm not saying the right aren't like that. Like there are some people on the right, but there's far less on the right than there are on the left that are like that. On the left, it's like a cult, right? Like the religion of the left is like you have to all be preaching. You have to all be good little Democrats and good little lefties, and you have to preach the good word. So it encompasses their lives so much to the point where it is their lives. Like their politics, like Destiny's politics are his life. Like without them, he has no life. He has nothing without his political obsessions. Same goes for Dev. Dev's whole channel, his whole product, his whole life is built around him regurgitating political philosophy. And he sees himself as enlightened about it. Like that's what their lives are about at the end of the day. Like, because they're so encompassed by that, it turns people vile. Like when your whole life is about the pure divisiveness of politics, you look at everything through the lens of, okay, is this left-leaning, is this right-leaning? If it's right-leaning, I need to attack it, I need to destroy it, I need to bite its head off. If it's left-leaning, I need to praise it, I need to suck its member, I need to regurgitate everything about it, I need to speak its praises. Their whole lives are entirely defined by these things. And thus, for them, saying something as simple as, oh, Cory Comparator's death is a tragedy, is a betrayal of their very reason for living. Like, their very politics, because it's their life, if they were to say anything that might even slightly hurt their political leaning or allegiances, that's tantamount to committing suicide. They can't do it. Like, they have to look at everything through the lens of right versus left. Humanity be damned, morality be damned. It doesn't matter. They don't ever talk in those terms. All right, have a good one, Willem. Thank you for stopping by. You be safe now, YouTube. So that's the short. That's the substance of it. Like, your life is obsessed with politics. Everything is dealt with through a political lens. So even the life of an innocent firefighter, his life is now just another political talking point. And that's why that happened the way that it did. If Justice Smollett happened this year, Dev would believe it. I think Dev believed it when it happened, but I'm only saying that because of my interactions with him. I don't know if he actually did, to be fair. But, yeah. I don't know. The world's in a kind of screwed up place at the moment. Politics is really taking over people's minds, and it's sad and a bit depressing. And at this point, like I said, like I'm kind of backing off commentary because I don't feel like it's achieving anything. And with the commentary community, like even just my sect of it, really, like with Arch and side scrollers and stuff like that, I just don't feel like we're really doing anything when we call this stuff out at this point. Like, we're informing people. That's always good, but I don't know. At this point, do I need to be one of the voices that does it every time? Probably not. Like I'm like the big deal stuff, like the major BS, sure, but every little thing, every small occasion, I don't feel like I need to make a video on it every time. The commentary community is bad by large. I mean, I'm certainly thinking that now. The ones like Turkey Town, especially. Who? But I don't know much about like the greater commentary sphere. I'm talking like my corner of it for like 40K and like anti woke stuff and like Arch side scrollers. Very tangentially Razor Fist, although he's like pure politics. I love Razor Fist. Don't get me wrong, but my little corner of it, I've been disenfranchised by with like the latest stuff. So I don't know. I definitely want to like for my YouTube channel. I kind of want to get back to talking about stuff I enjoy. Like I want to make videos where I'm happy to make the video. I'm not depressed to make the video. So that's why I'm getting into Gunpla. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm trying to make a long form video of me, like 40K fan gets into Gunpla. That's why I want to talk positive because I don't like the feeling I'm getting into this loop of, oh, hey, this depressing thing happened. Hopefully it gets better. Oh, this shitty thing happened. Hope it gets better. Oh, this shitty thing. It sucks. It sucks. So, I don't know. I do want to get back to like making a video and being like, hey guys, this is awesome thing I'm doing. It's so fun. And I want to be genuine, right? I don't want to make a video where I'm forcing myself to look at the positives with something I think is negative. So, Gunpla. And I, so far, am extremely positive about it. So, that's a feeling I haven't had in a hot minute. So, I greatly appreciate this plastic model I'm working on just for that alone. Like, to feel connected to it and to get to know its lore and stuff. And, yeah. Commentating does something. It's the audience that will do the rest after being informed. True, and commentating is about informing, but I just don't like feeling like I'm a grifter, and I don't like feeling I'm surrounded by grifters either. So, I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying it's coming off that way at times, and I just don't like the feeling. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of speaking off the cuff here. To be fair, outside of some political commentators, I also watch channels about manga and anime and other non-political stuff. And that's kind of where I want to go back to. Like I want to go to not like don't get me wrong, I stand by my channel isn't political. I don't consider I think only lefties consider like far lefties at that only consider anti-woke videos political. I consider them actually anti-politics. My whole thing is I don't want right-leaning or left-leaning. I don't want 40K to preach either side of the aisle. I wanted to preach 40K politics. I wanted to preach like its natural stuff in its setting. I want Gundam, which it still is, hopefully. I haven't watched the newest shows. I'm still getting through all the old stuff. But, I want Gundam and Conflict 47 and every hobbyist thing. I want every escapist thing to stay internally consistent and preach its worldview and preach like how it looks and how the characters feel and how they are in their fictional universe. And that can have political themes, but I just don't want propaganda. I don't want modern gender issues being brought up in Star Trek. It's Star Trek. It's supposed to be about an optimistic future, like where the Federation are like working hard to explore the galaxy, and mankind has gotten over its petty arguments and disagreements. I don't want I don't want modern issues to be put in these settings unless they were there to begin with. Like if the setting starts out with it, that's one thing, but its political themes should stay consistent with how the universe is flowing, not be beholden to IRL real world politics. Like I hate that shit. Hey, just let noob. Would you ever consider making a custom chapter for 40K using old lore? I think you would do well at it. I kind of did. Technically, I made a homebrew Space Marine chapter, the Crimson Crusaders. I did that a couple years ago. I think I still have my old like sheet of paper I did it on. It was a while back though. Have I talked to It's a Gundam? No, but I don't think I can. Isn't he a pretty big channel? I mean, if I could, that'd be fun. Like, who better to get like info on this stuff for? But no, I haven't talked to It's a Gundam. I'm not sure how I would. Bandai's on their toes because of the third-party kits. There's third-party kits? I mean, that makes sense. He's cool, I've heard. I mean, I've seen his videos. He's a really cool guy. I just figured, someone that big on YouTube will probably have pretty full email stuff. I can barely get a hold of Arch most days. If at all. Probably Gundam replies when it's about Gunpla. Oh! On Twitter, email. I'll look into it. I don't want modern day politics on a futuristic setting that deal with different issues. Exactly. It's like our real world BS should not be in the fiction we consume, especially settings where either it's fantasy settings set off in a way different universe that it should have way different issues. It's not that, and same with sci-fi, like especially Star Trek shouldn't be dealing with modern issues. Like Star Trek, how Star Trek used to do it was pretty cool, and they had political themes, but they were much better at it back then. Like they were able to present an issue and not be up their own ass of like, okay, there's only one answer to this, and the other side is evil. Like not propaganda. Present political issues, but be earnest and be understanding that it's a political issue because people disagree, and there's a reason for that outside of one side are evil, one side are good. That's not how real life works 90% of the time. Although it's starting to work that way these days, but that's with the left being the bad guys. That's because they keep taking absurdist fucking positions, though. Attack on Titan is a perfect example of a great story with politics in its plot, but doesn't preach the message to you. Hunter x Hunter 2. Hunter x Hunter I can vouch for sure. Yeah, like you can have political themes and internal politics in a setting without it, A, becoming a propaganda soapbox, and B, becoming contrived. So, like, I just don't understand why Western media forgot that. Because we had it down in the 90s. Like, watch any of the 90s Star Trek. They had it down pat. And that shit was left-leaning. But they had it down perfect. It's like, hey, here's a political issue that we are presenting in this universe, but it makes sense for the setting because we have this alien race that might be more primitive, and this is how humans who are on an elevated level are responding to it, yada, yada, yada. Like, they would present the issue, and then they would be mature enough to acknowledge that it's an issue to begin with, because there is a genuine grievance on two sides of a coin. Yeah, one side they'll probably portray a little bit worse than the other, but there's still two sides to the coin. And it's not just because one side bad, one side good. That's not how it works. If a political view is strong and valid, it can stand on its own. True. And in its own content and conversation, you don't have to sneak it into types of media or genres. Exactly. And then when people have a problem with it or disagree with it, you then censor them, block them, or call them bigots. That's only done when you aren't able to accept an opposing point of view. Kiddu, I apologize if I didn't say that correctly. Hey, how's it going? I saw your video today on the push for the meme studies, ma'am studies. Was the last straw for my interest in GW stuff, especially with the they-theming of Age of Sigmar and the model price hike. Hope Gunpla is fun. I mean, I recommend it. High grades are fairly cheap, and they are really fun to put together. Although, as Acerbic has been pointing out to me throughout this whole stream, definitely look into, like, because I'm hoping this lasts, with those paints I have. But, yeah, I'm probably going to have to get unique paints for it, because it does articulate. It's very different from what we're used to for most of 40K stuff. So do your research. If you're getting into it just fresh, if you've been into it, then obviously don't listen to me. I'm brand new. High grade are cheap, but real grade are the best. I've heard that. I know that they're the same size. They're both 1/44th scale. Or both 1/144th scale. I still have to look. Wait, what time is it? Ooh, I have to go. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, guys. Thank you guys. I love y'all. Thank you guys for stopping in and hanging out. I will try and figure out a way so I can do these while having a camera view of actually what I'm working on. And yeah, got to work that out. But I'm going to head out. I got to get ready for work. I got to go make my money for today. So, yeah, love you guys. Have a good one. And take care, okay? Bye-bye. 1 second. I'm actually trying to figure out how to do this. Did that one? There we go.